What is up, everyone? We are continuing on with the top 5 new brews for Murders at Karlov Manor. This is number 3, and this is a pretty sweet build, so you don't want to miss it. Alrighty, so this one is blue-black Lazav midrange. And I know you're thinking, blue-black midrange, what's going to be different from just the standard deck? Well, we've got some pretty interesting new additions to the blue-black mid-range, especially the namesake here, Lazav. So let's take a look. Here we go. So a couple things you might notice right away. In the 1 mana slot, we've actually got a new creature than the blue-black mid-range is not playing. This is Fester Leech. It's black for a 1/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you mill 2 cards. And you can play 1 and a black to pump it, make it a 3/3. You can only do that once each turn. This one is one that people are kind of high on at the moment. We'll have to see if it's really as good as it seems. But basically, you play it on 1, and it's going to be somewhat unblockable on turn 2, because you have the option to pump it and potentially like chump, make the opponent chump your creature. Though there are quite a few 2-drops which have 3 power, so it doesn't really line up super great on those. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. And if you go second, I guess it's also a little bit worse in that case. We might switch this out with the Chattering Vermin card, which just mills 2 when you first play it down. But we're trying it out. New cards, and it synergizes pretty well with the deck. So we've got it in there for now. And then, of course, Spyglass Siren, great card. 1/1 flying, evasive, and it has a map token which can make your guys bigger, can help you find lands. It's an artifact. So that one pretty much already an all-star card in the blue-black mid-range deck. And then in the 2 mana slot, we've got Lazav, Where Our Face Is. This is the main card the deck is built around. So blue and a black for 2/3, good stats. Whenever it attacks, you exile a card from a graveyard, then investigate. So every turn it's attacking, you're getting card value essentially because you get these artifacts. And then if you get to sacrifice one of the clues, then you can also have Lazav become one of the creatures that it exiled. So the idea is we get our worm down on turn 1, we swing in, we mill a couple creatures, we get Lazav down turn 2, and then turn 3 we swing in, we exile the big creature. And we're not super all in on the Lazav plan. I mean, there's still the nice blue-black Dimir mid-range shell in this deck. Like cut down, go for the throat, make disappear. You've got some Subterranean Schooner, you got Malcolm. So those are all kind of there. But it all kind of works together pretty well because like the map tokens can put something in your graveyard for Lazav. Malcolm as well, draw a discard, put something in your graveyard. We're running 1 Rona to do kind of the same thing. Draw a discard. It also, we have a lot of legendaries. Lazav, Malcolm, and quite a few more down here. And so Rona's going to get the advantage that it can keep drawing and discarding over and over. So overall, playing a lot of the staple blue-black mid-range cards. And I threw in one of these Tarian's journals. This card was really great in the last set, but it didn't find a great home because you want it kind of in a sacrifice deck, but it wants to sacrifice artifacts, and it can only do it as a sorcery, so you can't do it like in response to the opponent trying to kill your creatures. But I think a 1-of in here makes sense because you can sack the map tokens from the Spyglass Siren. You can even sack the clues to essentially draw your clue for free. So it still has some synergy here. We can sack our leech. If our leech is no longer getting in to attack, we can sack it and turn it into a card. So that part is pretty nice. And then late game, of course, you can flip it and the flip side of it lets you cast creatures from your graveyard, one creature each turn. So that's pretty nice. So basically, if we get to a point where like they killed the Lazav, they killed all of our creatures, we're kind of out of cards, we can flip it and cast our Lazav again and start the process rolling again. All right, and then in the 3 mana slot, again, a lot of it is very much the staple blue-black mid-range. We got Kaito, we got Gix, we've got one of the Invasion of Amonkhet, and then we're trying out the new Etrata because it works very well with Lazav. It says whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, cloak the top card of that player's library. Super powerful ability. It's a 1/4 with Death Touch, so it's pretty decent on its own as well. And it also has the ability that you can cast the cloaked card for 4 mana. So all of that is pretty cool. But staple that onto the fact that Lazav can turn into a Etrata, which becomes an assassin, and then gets to trigger the ability. Just a win-win. And so we didn't go super hard on it. Just going the one of, if in case we mill it or we play it, it gets killed, we can still have Lazav as our backup Etrata. So yeah, pretty sweet there. And then fun of, kind of another fun of, we got Nashi Moon Sage in here. It also has a combat damage trigger. So again, Lazav can turn into Nashi, attack in, and generate card advantage on top of the clue that it's already getting. So the name of the game is basically have a lot of good combat related advantage, and have in a lot of cases Lazav be this big bag threat where you can turn into all of these things that are in your graveyard. So if the Gix isn't scary enough, now Lazav can turn into Gix and still draw you cards. So yeah, it's pretty good. And then this is another staple card in the blue-black mid-range, the Akhlazotz. It works very well with the Invasion to Amonkhet, but you can also turn Lazav into this and get the attack trigger, as long as you pop your clue before combat phase, then you'll get that advantage. So that's another thing you can do with Lazav. Archpriest also, again, whenever it deals combat damage, it returns a creature from the graveyard. So any of the ones we milled or discarded with our Malcolm, Rona, Fester Leech, Invasion, Kaito, etc. Archpriest can bring them back onto the battlefield. It's got the backup ability, so even if we cast it, we get to get this ability on, maybe on our Spygrass Siren, something like that. So lots of ways to make this reanimation good. And then, and well, I should say, and one of the big problems with Archpriest, which is why I didn't see a ton of play, is because you cast it for 5 mana, and a lot of times the person will just kill it, right? So, and you have the backup, so technically, even if they kill it, you kind of have 2 chances to swing in, but maybe they have a blocker or some reason that you can't swing in. But now, even if they kill it, you could potentially get it back with Lazav or Invasion of Amonkhet or something like that. So it's not one and done. You get multiple chances to try to use this ability. And then we're also running one of the Sphinx of Clear Skies. Another good card that didn't get to unfortunately see a lot of play. So we want to get this in our graveyard. 5 mana, 5/5 with Ward 2 and Flying. And when it deals damage to the opponent, you essentially get to draw a card. As long as you have one basic land type, swamp or an island, you're going to essentially get to draw a card, which is pretty good. And then the last kind of fun card we're playing is Illicit Masquerade. I gotta try it out. It's the new set. It seems interesting. It's kind of sweeper protection. And it doesn't, I guess it doesn't work against Sunfall, unfortunately. So that is a big downside, but you can flash this in. The opponents could even just be single target removing something. Maybe they're killing our Lazav. We flash this in. We put a counter on the Lazav. Lazav dies, and then we get back one of these big creatures that are in our graveyard. Win, win, win. But on top of that, you could put the counters on multiple creatures, get back multiple things, which is just a cherry on top of everything. So doesn't seem that unreasonable. We have a few other flash plays, like the Malcolm here, the make disappear, go for the throat, and cut down. So it's not like it's super telegraphed that you've got it open, because there's potentially other things you could be doing with your mana. So we're trying it out, see how it does, but it looks interesting. And then the final thing I'll mention is we got the new Surveil land in here, because we're trying to put our big creatures in the graveyard, so we want to do that as quickly as possible. And Lazav is a turn 2 play, so if we can do that turn 0, turn 1, that would be good. But that's kind of the general idea of the deck. Again, we're using that blue-black mid-range shell that already exists and is already very powerful. We're adding good new cards, Lazav in there, and we're taking advantage of the attack triggers on cards like Gix, Archpriest, Sphinx, Nashi, Aklazotz, and Errata to basically make it so that the opponent has to kill literally every creature you have, or you're going to just snowball an advantage. All right, well, let me know what you think in the comments. What other decks and cards are you looking forward to? I'm really excited to try this out when the new set drops on February 6th. Hope you are too, and until next time, see ya.